Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to the coverage of the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. We're here at Velocitta for the second weekend of the 2026 campaign. Jake Sanson in the commentary box. The drivers all ready to go around for the formation laps. And it's going to be a very busy round of the championship here at Velocitta. It's always a chaotic and hectic race circuit. We always get to see some fantastic badinage and battles around this place. And traditionally, you get a little bit more spice in your race weekend at Velocitta compared to anywhere else on the calendar. Certainly for the pole sitter Marcel Muller, it's a chance to put right what went wrong in 2025. He led here in race one of round one and round two at Velocitta in 2025, got a puncture while leading on both occasions, only for it to then happen again at race one, round three, at Interlagos just a few weeks later. 2025 was a nightmare year for Marcel Muller until the Endurance Championship when he picked up the pieces. Miguel Paludo won the championship last season, and both Marcel Muller and Jeff Gyasi have been race winners in 2026 at the opening round of the championship at Interlagos. This weekend, Miguel Paludo is on the back foot, starting down in 11th, with Marcel Muller going from pole position. It's going to be a fascinating challenge for all of the contenders. It'll be Marcel Muller and Lucas Salas on the front row of the grid, Alcifel Neto and Antonella Bassani on the second row, then Matthias Camparato and Pietro Fantin from Thiago Vivacqua and Jeff Gyasi. Miguel Mariotti and Alcifel Senior round out the top 10, then Miguel Paludo and Israel Salmen, Gustavo Janon and Linu Perez, then Marcos Regadas and Leonardo Herman, from Ryan Mascherano and Seba Marucelli. Roman Zimkiewicz is next up beside Carlos Campos, the leading master, then Rodrigo Melo and the leading rookie, Jose Morenito. Then it's Christian Moore and the 16-year-old superstar Pipo Massa. And then we have Silvio Modestoni and Josimar Junior from Francisco Horta and Leonardo Sanchez, Marco Billy, Bruno Campos, Edu Guedes, Luis Souza, Vanya Pontes, Paulo Souza, Andrei Genczynski and Sang-Ho Kim. So the 36 drivers lined up are in their two rows of formation as we get ourselves under starters orders very shortly indeed. For Marcel Muller, this is an opportunity to get himself back into favour with the Velocitta circuit. The racing gods have always been against him every time he's taken the lead here in the last 12 months. Hopefully, this is the day when all of those demons are finally put to sleep. He's got Lucas Salas alongside him on the front row, Alcifel Manito and Antonella Bassani giving chase, and we are under starters orders. Let's race at Velocitta for the first race of two this weekend. Good start by the race leader, Marcel Muller. Big opportunity on the inside line from Alcifel Manito as Antonella Bassani goes round the outside to try and pick up the pieces and move into third position, but it's going to be a tough one as everybody has got through the first corner safely. That's great news, but 2 and 3 wide round turn 2 is not necessarily going to work for everybody. There could be a couple of drivers getting a little bit pinballed around this part of the course, especially now that we're into the S's, where there's a lot of pitch and camber change as well as elevation derivation. And there's a spinner in the background. In fact, there's 3 cars involved in the incident further back by the look of it. So there's already difficulties on the opening lap as everybody else is trying to stay out of harm's way. That's Bassani up the inside of Camparato. Miguel Paludo trying to make up a couple of places on the inside there as well. The reigning champion going door to door with the 117, Pietro Fantin. But Muller leads the way from Salas and Alcifel Manito. Bassani going well in P4 in front of Camparato. And in P6, that is the hard-charging number 17, I think that is. Trying to figure out which car that is that's managed to work its way through in the top 6. Jeff Gyasi trying to pitch himself into a neat and comfortable position. It's the 10 of Thiago Vivacqua. In fact, that's in P6. We had a couple of spinners, but it doesn't look as though we're going to safety car proceedings. Mind you, Roman Zimkiewicz is not really going to care either way, and there's damage to the 14. So Zimkiewicz is in trouble, and so is Carlos Campos as we go across the line to complete the end of the first lap. Marcel Muller leading, then Salas, Velmanito, Bassani, Camparato, Vivacqua, Paludo, Fantin, Gyasi, and Alcifel Senior. Yellow flags. Are we going to go to safety car? We're certainly yellow flags on one part of the course, but I'm not sure if that's going to translate to safety car proceedings. Well, there's certainly big problems for the 14. Carlos Campos in trouble. So too is Francisco Horta. He's not come around. There's his car. So Francisco Horta having the problem. We're going to see what happened on the opening lap. Oh, it's further round the course than the spin. So Francisco Horta tangling there with the 14 Carlos Campos. Roman Zimkiewicz out of the race in a different incident by the look of it. So it looks like there were 3 separate incidents. We're going to see what happened to Zimkovic. Is he going to get hit from behind? Oh, that's a pitch around for the 25. That's Paulo Sousa going for a spin in the Cargill car. So definitely problems for many drivers then on the opening lap. Miguel Mariotti has dropped all the way to the back of the field as well. And we've gone to full course yellow. So the safety car will catch Marcel Muller when they come around again. So it is safety car proceedings. Lots of drivers in jeopardy. Down at the back of the field, we've got Guedes, Mariotti, Sango Kim and Paulo Sousa, as well as no cars circulating between Zimkovic, Campos and Francisco Horta. On board with Alcy Feldman Sr. in the newly repainted car that is no longer a Tag Heuer Porsche. It is now a completely different branding. So the competitors have already had a very difficult start to proceedings then, and it's just made worse by the safety car. We're going to see the replay of the start. Look at Miguel Peludo already trying to work his way past Tiago Vivacqua on the way to the first turn. Asifel Manito and Antonella Bassani quite brave going through there side by side. Even more so bravery from Camparato, Pietro Fantin and Tiago Vivacqua to go 3 wide further back. Jeff Chiassi getting involved in it as well. So there's the first spin around. That's at turn 2. Paulo Sousa dropping to the back of the field. Then we're going to see this incident over the crest. Oh, that's a very big lunge from Francisco Horta. He's missed his braking point altogether to clip the 14 Carlos Campos. And that's why both cars are damaged and out on the spot. That's a very big error from Francisco Horta to miss the braking point in such a dramatic fashion. So that's definitely game over in the worst possible way. And so that is certainly not the way it was supposed to work out for either of the 3 drivers. Zimkovic, it looks like, has been caught up in a completely different incident there. So I would suspect that he got caught out in an incident further round. We had some spins further back. And I think Miguel Mariotti is now the one who's right down at the back of the field. So I must guess Mariotti got involved there. Edu Guedes is quite a long way down the order, but I'm not sure if that's because he's had to take avoiding action or whether he's been pitched around in a similar incident. So it's a little bit hard to tell who's had what done to who in the middle of the field. Certainly at the front end of the field, though, Marcel Muller enjoying himself and having a very positive start to this race. But then we were here 12 months ago. So let's hope it actually works out in his favour. We're on board with the man who leads the way. Marcel Muller going very well indeed. So it's going to be an interesting run for Marcel Muller when this race does get restarted. Alcy Feldman finds himself down in 10th position on this restart when it does take place. But it's a 25-minute encounter, of course, the sprint race battle. The safety car is going to stay out for another lap. So there's clearly a little bit more wreckage around the circuit than we first thought. But I can tell you that there's only been 3 retirements, Zimkovic, Campos and Horta. So I would suspect then that there is a little bit more damage around the course than first realised. Either that or one of the 2 of the cars that were involved in these incidents are still in a precarious position. This is a fabulous circuit, the Velocitta race circuit, because you get so many different types of race corner. Uphill and down dale, changing of elevation. We're going to see the incident again between Horta and Campos. Just got pinched there by a very late braking of Francisco Horta. Not a lot he could have done about that, to be fair. Carlos Campos completely blameless. Francisco Horta was so busy racing another competitor, he just missed his braking point down the crest. Very easy to do. That's where Everton Cardoso had his big accident in qualifying last year. Cardoso, by the way, is actually back in the world of Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. He's in the trophy race that takes place tomorrow morning. Sadly, we don't have English coverage of the trophy, only of the Carrera Cup Brasil and the Sprint Challenge Brasil. The Sprint Challenge Brasil race, by the way, is immediately after this one. As soon as the checkered flag goes down, we go straight to the podium. Then as soon as the podium is finished, we're already on the formation lap for the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brasil. Knit 2 together, as they say. So are we going to go green this time by? Certainly waiting for the all clear, as the field is going to be backed up. Miguel Peludo finds himself in 7th place, having originally started 11th. Doesn't look as though the field is restarting this time, so there's actually quite a lot more damage around the circuit than we first thought then. because we're going out of the final turn again, and the safety car stays out for lap number 3. All laps of the circuit completed then. Only one of those under green flag conditions. Marcel Müller leads. Lucas Salas in second place. The incident involving Francisco Horta and Carlos Campos is obviously under investigation. There's no way we were going to get out of that without an investigation, to be fair. The leader overall is Marcel Müller. The leader in sport is Alfie Feldman, and the leader in rookie is still Jose Morenito. Though that is pretty much as expected, because there's not been any major changes to proceedings. But now the field is starting to be backed up, so I've got a feeling we could be going racing this time by. And the safety car lights are out, so we are going to go racing this time. There's the confirmation of the leaders in each category. Carrera Cup, Marcel Müller. Carrera Sport, Alfie Feldman. Carrera Rookie, Jose Morenito. The fans in the stands are loving it. It's a proper experience racing in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil, and the fans really do enjoy the exciting battles that we get. There are the lights out on the safety car, though I do believe that means we're going racing this time by, and there is a rather disgruntled Carlos Campos walking away from the wreckage of his car. And so for Marcel Müller, it's time to get ready to go racing again with Lucas Salas, Alfie Feldman Neto, and Antonello Bassani in tow. So Marcel Müller in the 544, Lucas Salas in the 70, and Lightning McQueen himself, Alfie Feldman Neto, in car number 8. Now, I know what you're thinking. It should be number 95, shouldn't it? Well, I did have a word with Alfie Feldman Neto in between qualifying and the race. Why do you run the Lightning McQueen livery, but not as number 95? Why do you run it as number 8? He said, well, 95 has always been very unlucky for me, whereas number 8 has always been lucky. So I just decided a little bit of poetic license to give me some approval from the racing gods. We're under starters' orders as we go green, 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 green on the main straight once again. Marcel Müller in front of Lucas Salas, then Feldman Neto, Bassani, Camperato, Vivacqua, Paludo, Fantin, Giassi, and Alfie Feldman Sr. And Bassani gets the run on the inside to hold off from Camperato, but Camperato is going to get the switchback, and surely that's going to be a move good enough to get past the Mobile 1 car. But Bassani holds her nerve around the outside. No, she's not going to be pushed around by her fellow teenager. Excellent racecraft between the two. And so Bassani holds on to 4th position, but Camperato really is making a tough job of it. Meanwhile, Paludo and Vivacqua go side by side. Jeff Giassi gets a run on the inside line as well. And in the background, that is an off from Pietro Fantin. Pietro Fantin's got off, and Camperato's under pressure here from Thiago Vivacqua. Vivacqua trying to come up the inside line and make the bid for 5th position on the inside of Bassani. And that's a lovely power slide to finish off the move from Vivacqua. Paludo going through as well. Alfie Feldman's got damage. Alfie Feldman's limping. It's not Pietro Fantin in trouble. I think it's Marcos Regadas who's in trouble. We're going to double check again. And yes, that's Regadas going straight into the back of Alfie Feldman. So Regadas clips the back of Alfie Feldman. He keeps going, but surely that's going to be investigated as well. So Regadas hits the back of Alfie Feldman as Bassani is ahead of Vivacqua and Paludo in the battle for 4th position. Meanwhile, Marcel Müller leads them across the line at the end of lap 6. Then Salas and Alfie Feldman Neto. But Alfie Feldman Sr. is limping back to the pits to retire with big damage to the back of the number 1 car. As Bassani runs 4th, Vivacqua, Paludo, Camperato, Giassi on the inside the 117 of Fantin, holding on from Regadas, who must have some damage to his car after the collision with Alfie Feldman Sr. But Marcel Müller watches in his rearview mirrors as Lucas Salas tries to drop Alfie Feldman Neto. The Brazilian Lightning McQueen running in a very solid 3rd place. Ahead of Bassani, then Vivacqua, Paludo, Camperato, Giassi, Fantin, Regadas. And the leader in sport is now Israel Salmen as a result of Alfie Feldman pitting. Up the inside line, that's Regadas trying another move, this time on Pietro Fantin. Regadas goes for the move. Fantin tries to hold it round the outside. Big lean into the inside. Oh, that's a big amount of damage there. And that, I'm afraid, is Jose Morenito, isn't it? The 45, I think it is, that's in damage. So that is the leader in rookie, gone. Up on the inside line, trying to take on Pietro Fantin. Israel Salmen, the leader in sport, trying to get the move on the inside line. It's not going to work, so now he holds on from Gustavo Janon. Linu Perez is in the mix there as well, but there's big, big damage. We've gone safety car again. No major shocks there for that one. That was a big amount of damage sustained to Jose Morenito, the rookie driver who was leading the rookie category. I'm afraid he's out. So that is another retirement to add to Alcy Feldman, Roman Zimkovic, Carlos Campos, and Francisco Horta. So we've got 5 retirements. I wonder if that was Jose Morenito losing it on his own, or did he have some assistance? And what that means now is that the leader in rookie is Marco Billi in front of Pipo Massa and Leonardo Sanchez. Pipo Massa is going to need to work hard here because he's got Yosemar Junior between himself and Marco Billi before he can go for the lead in rookie. Look at the damage to Jose Morenito's car. The safety crew is there on the scene very quickly. But it certainly doesn't change the fact that the man who got pole position in rookie is very much now going to sit on the sidelines and watch the rest of the opening race of the season. On board with Peludo. He's now in P6, having got ahead of Camperato. Yassi is now P8 in front of Regadas and Pietro Fantin. It would not shock me at all if Marcos Regadas is going to get investigated for his little love tap with Alcy Feldman Sr. But the officials have got quite a lot to unpick here. There's a lot going on around the circuit. So it's definitely going to be tricky to clear this one up. I think there's a lot more damage than first realised. How did this happen? We're going to see Jose Morenito enter shot sideways. Suddenly going to hit the wall very hard indeed. Oh! Big impact. And he actually went airborne, goodness me. That is a nasty hit for Jose Morenito. Not entirely sure whether he had help or whether that was losing it on his own. But it doesn't change the fact that Jose Morenito is not only out of this race, but probably rather severely winded as well. And so we've got 31 cars of the 36 that started left. But this could be a long safety car. 10.5 minutes to go in the race. They've pulled Jose Morenito's car off the racing line, with Jose Morenito still in it. So that is good news. At least, despite going airborne and landing rather precariously, he is okay. That was really nasty, the way that that car spat out to the sidelines there while it was in the air rotating. So Jose Morenito, who stepped up to challenge from Trophy, won the Trophy crown, of course, back in 2024. That was a nasty accident, but it looks as though while the car is fairly badly damaged, he is okay. On board with Peludo. Tucked up behind Tiago Vivacqua. And full credit to Antonella Bassani, who remains in the top 5. Despite losing out initially to Alcy Feldman Neto, she did not let Matthias Camperato get by. So there's another chance to get this restart right for the drivers who lost a lot of ground. So Marco Billi is the leader now in rookie. Israel Salmon is now the rookie, so he's now the sport leader. Ooh, that's Alcy Feldman Neto and Antonella Bassani running over some of the debris left by Jose Morenito. Hopefully that's not going to turn into a puncture, but remember what happened last year? Marcel Muller had the lead, got a puncture. There was a lot of damage around the circuit. He is likely going to strike twice in successive years. Maybe not for Marcel Muller, but for somebody else, picking up a puncture due to the damage around the course. There is a very welcome sight indeed. That's Jose Morenito going to the rescue truck for safety checks. Here it is again. And we're going to see Jose Morenito enter the shot sideways and then get pitched around in the air. Exit stage right. No time to brake. Bang. And up in the air goes Jose Morenito. My, oh my, oh my. That's a big impact. But fortunately, it appears that Jose Morenito is okay. He's obviously assisted the team. We're going to see something else now. What's happened here? This is further round. Oh, this is going to be the aftermath of the accident. Big steam coming off Jose Morenito's car. And that's very much a rolling wreck. That looks like the little micro machines I had as a kid when I'd accidentally dropped them down the stairs. So the number 23, Leonardo Herrmann, going to be trying to battle his way for the victory in the sport category. Currently tucked up behind Salmon, Janon, Perez and Melo. Incident involving 10 and 117 under investigation. That is Tiago Vivacqua and Pietro Fantin. So something else we didn't see under investigation there. And also the 45 and the 2. We did see that. We saw the aftermath of it. It was Silvio Modestoni who seems to be involved in that incident with Jose Morenito. Loving these slow motion replays when the cars are lined up in position. There's the confirmation of the incident involving Jose Morenito. Apparently, he may have had some assistance from Silvio Modestoni. He's under investigation for the incident. So we'll have to see what transpires. But certainly we're going to see a lot of damage at the end of this race. And don't forget, of course, we've got another race straight after this one for the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. Another incident being investigated, 77 and 14, Horta and Campos. That's the incident that was the first trigger of a safety car. But with there being quite a lot of damage to the far side, we're seeing a lot of slow motion replays at the moment because there isn't a lot more to see with the cars currently being behind the safety car for what is now the, trying to do the math here, I think this is going to be the 7th lap total behind the safety car. We go into lap 11. So that tells you the kind of race we've had already here at Velocitta. Drivers do like to take risks around this circuit. They like to go for a fairly confident looking maneuver, and then they find out very quickly that their eyes were wider than their stomach. 6 minutes to go. And it looks to me as though a couple of the drivers are going to get another opportunity to go and get something. Israel Salmen will be dueling with Pietro Fantin on the restart, and he's going to have big heartbeat palpitations because Gustavo Janon and Lino Perez are going to be right behind him on the restart. So the top 10, all in the Premier category. Miguel Mariotti, the only one of those that is not right there at the sharp end. Lights out on the safety car. So we're going to go racing again this time. So Marcel Muller will control the pace of the field once more, ahead of Lucas Salas, and then Alcifel Neto, Antonello Bassani, Tiago Vavacqua, Miguel Peludo, Matias Camparato, Jeff Chiassi, Marcos Regadas and Pietro Fantin. In the sport category, the top 5, from 11th down to 15th, is Rosalman, Gustavo Janon, Lino Perez, Rodrigo Melo and Leonardo Herman. The leading rookie is Marco Billy in P20, ahead of Pipo Massa in P22, behind Yosemar Junior, and third in rookie is Leonardo Sanchez in 23rd. So with 5 minutes to go, Marcel Muller is going to back this pack up. And we're going to go racing for the third time here in Velocitta. Marcel Muller's gone for it. It worked last time. Clearly it's going to work again, provided he gets the trajectory of the final hairpin right. Lucas Salas is going to try and go with him, but Marcel Muller's got great pace, and as they come off the final turn onto the home straight, once again here at Velocitta, it's green, 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 green. And the battles will be joined going into the first corner. Miguel Peludo fancying his chances on Vivacqua, who holds the car to the inside line. Peludo's going to try and run right round the outside of Tiago Vivacqua. Surely he's not going to give him any space, and he doesn't, so Peludo has to bail out. That was very trusting of Miguel Peludo to even attempt that on Tiago Vivacqua. Not that Vivacqua was going to give him an inch he didn't have to. There's certainly some tough moments in this one. Jeff Chiassi down the inside. That's going to put him back on terms with Matias Camparato. And he's also got Miguel Mariotti, Marcos Regadas and Pietro Fantin close in behind him to try and go for the move. Chiassi protects the inside line from Regadas. So that holds up the charge. Everybody else is enjoying this restart. A much more racy restart this time. Marco Billy is actually going to have a lot of pressure from Pipo Massa on the way through. But everybody's still enjoying themselves as they go down through the S's at the bottom of the crest. And then through the S's that complete the circuit as well. They finish things off in very neat and tidy fashion for a change. Bassani, however, is putting pressure on Alcifel Manito. Top 5 is worth a podium in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. But that isn't stopping Antonello Bassani wanting more than 4th place. Peludo, meanwhile, is going after Vivacqua, and that would put Peludo on the podium if he can get ahead of the number 10 car. Down the straight, Vivacqua defending and covering, Peludo swarming around. He's going to try and catch Tiago Vivacqua out, but the reigning champion, Miguel Peludo, is really struggling at the moment to get ahead of the number 10 machine of Tiago Vivacqua. No love lost between racers. Certainly not when there's a podium finish at stake. On board with Paludo, let's listen. Keeping it nice and balanced in his pursuit of Thiago Vivacqua. Looks like everybody else has finally settled into a rhythm that could end this way, although there could be a few other manoeuvres. Oh, a bit of a run wide in the background there. I think that might have been Sibamalu Celli just dropping it on the way out of the uphill crest. But certainly for Marcel Muller, he's got the advantage over Salas, Felmanito, Bassani and co. We're going to see another big dive on the inside of Pipo Massa. That's contact from Leonardo Sanchez. He was trying to get into second place in the rookie category. It hasn't worked out. And Barato's still battling away with Jeff Gyasi. I want to know if Massa is now a considerable way back from Marco Billy, or if there's still a chance that he could battle for the victory in rookie. Drivers are going to come through. Marcel Muller's going to lead the way, and he's crossing the line with 1 minute 38 seconds left on a lap time of 1:29.9. So there's going to be 2 laps to go, essentially. And that's onto the grass for Jeff Gyasi in his attempt to get past Camperato, as Paludo and Vivacqua duel for position as well. And Vivacqua is going to hold on from Camperato, as meanwhile Jeff Gyasi gets his man and gets ahead of Matthias Camperato. On board with Paludo. So there you go, Gyasi ahead of Camperato. Regadas, and then it is Pietro Fantin, whilst Salman still battles away in front of Linu Perez and Gustavo Janon. Meanwhile, Marco Billy is only a second ahead of Pipo Massa and Leonardo Sanchez, though the rookie victory is still going to be contested all the way as well. But Massa's got pressure from Sanchez for second place, and that's a pirouette further back, and that's really come back to bite the 25, hasn't it? Luis Souza spins around, and Paulo Souza has nowhere to go. And now they've got to try and recover. Are they actually locking wheels? No, not quite. But was there contact initially to start that, or was that just a mistake? Oh yeah, there was big contact to start that. So Luis Souza will feel aggrieved, but as far as the racing gods are concerned, the punishment fits the crime, because there was a love tap on the back of Luis Souza. He pirouettes around, and Paulo Souza goes and joins him at the scene of the spin. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Unfortunately, though, that's exactly what's happened. Back into the race draw we go with a few seconds on the clock. And so the time ticks down to 0. So we've got ourselves in a very neat and tidy battle up front for the lower positions of the top 10. But Marcel Muller looks good here in front of Lucas Salas and Alcifel Manetto. Then Antonello Bassani, Thiago Vivacqua, then Paludo, and then this battle, Gyasi, Camperato, Regadas, Fantin, and Isra Salmen. So the battles really are going to be tight to the checkered flag now. The drivers are still edging closer. A little bit of push to pass there from Jeff Gyasi, you can tell, because the headlights start flashing. But Marcel Muller certainly not in need of any difficulties or any problems. Last year, it was misery at Velocitta, not in 2026. That's ancient history now, as he drops down through the left, right, left. That brings him to the final couple of corners of the lap. It's going to be another lap to go at the end of this one. So Marcel Muller will bring it through to complete the course, but it's time plus an additional lap. You can see on the timing monitor on the top of your screen, that's 2 laps is what that means. And now we're going into La Ultima Volta, the last lap. And Marcel Muller looks perfect. Took a win at Interlagos during round 1. He would dearly love to get a win at Velocitta, but given his current form, he could be a race winner on every circuit we have a sprint race in. Paludo gets his man on the inside of Vivacqua this time. Tightens it up on the radius. Vivacqua trying to get the undercut. Paludo chops right across the bow of Thiago Vivacqua, not going to retaliate. And now Antonello Bassani's going to broke on Alcifel Manetto as well. So the final place on the podium is being contested for 5th place, but also Antonello Bassani's putting Alcifel Manetto under pressure. This is great racing from these two. And this is going to be Antonello Bassani's best finish yet if she can get into 3rd position in the Carrera Cup. Alcifel Manetto covers the line. Antonello Bassani tries to go for the switcheroo. Alcifel Manetto can only defend so much. Bassani's going to put him under pressure all the way to the death. The Lightning McQueen car number 8 and Antonella Bassani in the Mobil 1 machine. Down to the braking zone for the chicane. Can she line him up and put him under enough pressure that he makes the mistake? Alcifer Manito, the 17-year-old from Paso Redondo in Santa Catarina, is going to have to hold on for third place. Lucas Salas is alone in the run for P2. But after the disaster of last year, Velocitta was a very unhappy hunting ground in 2025. In 2026, it's redemption day for Marcel Muller. He takes the checkered flag with a dominant victory in the first race of the weekend. Lucas Salas is second, and Alcifer Benito just comes home in front of Antonella Bassani and Miguel Paludo. That's the podium, and look at that. It's all smiles at the Fabian Petrus team. Last year is ancient history. In 2026, Marcel Muller gets the win he deserved 12 months ago. Vencedor, Marcel Muller. Great result. And that's his second win in 3 starts in 2026. It's very hard to begrudge him the championship already this season, isn't it? To keep this form up. But the way things have been since about round 4 of last year, Marcel Muller really has been the class of the field in sprint and endurance races. Fabulous result and a great victory. Second place, good run from Lucas Salas, nice and quiet actually. Alcifer Benito third from Antonella Bassani and Miguel Paludo. Good podium finishes there. In the sport category, it's Israel Salman. He takes the win ahead of Lino Perez, Leonardo Herman, Gustavo Janon and Ryan Mascherello. Excellent display from them. Good battles all the way through. Certainly gave us plenty to talk about. And as Israel Salman celebrates a sport victory to add to the rookie wins he took in the previous year, we look back and there is the number 83. Marco Billi is the winner in rookie. You got to feel for Jose Morenito. He will feel like he really had a chance to win that, but Marco Billi becomes a rookie winner in front of Pipo Massa, who gets another top 3 finish as a rookie driver. Leonardo Sanchez in third in class ahead of Bruno Campos and Vanier Pontes. Well, what a great start to the weekend then here in Velocitta, and there's going to be another great race on the way, because as soon as this podium ceremony is finished, we will have the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. In a new look for 2025, we've now got the top 5 cars lining up in formation on the start-finish straight. This is a brand new finish to the weekend for 2025. Wonderful to see Marcel Muller finishing off the way it should have finished at both round 1 and round 2 last year. Chris Diaz is there to greet Marcel Muller, but Marcel Muller is out of the car and very happy indeed. Number 1, race victory. Alcifer Benito is the first one to come over and congratulate him. Lucas Salas gets out of the car after a fabulous second place finish as well. Now I'm assuming these cars are going to get moved fairly quickly because of course we've got another race straight after this one for the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. But Salas enjoys his second place, Alcifer Benito enjoys third, and Antonella Bassani pushed him all the way for a great podium finish. And there is Marcel Muller. He'll have a conversation with Chris Diaz. And we get to go over and celebrate with Antonella Bassani, who looks rather frustrated with P4. I think she feels third position could have happened there, but it doesn't quite come to fruition in the end. Miguel Paludo comes through for P5. Great recovery drive for the reigning champion. After starting P11, Miguel Paludo fighting back to the top 5. That's a podium. That'll do. Under the circumstances, he can be quite grateful. That could have been a lot worse. Israel Salman gets the sport victory in front of Lino Perez and Leonardo Herman. The other 2 podium finishers will be Gustavo Janon. And a welcome return to the rostrum is coming for Ryan Mascherello. And then the top 5 in the rookie category is going to be Marco Billi, Pipo Massa, Leonardo Sanchez, Bruno Campos, and Vanier Pontes. And then straight after that, of course, we will have the big battle that will rejoin again in Challenge, where we're going to see Pedrosa taking the role of pole position right from the start. So Eduardo Pedrosa is going to have a big amount of pressure as a sport driver going for broke at the start of the race. A shortened race distance due to the couple of safety cars that we had, but at least we got to finish the race under green flag conditions, and Marcel Müller gets to put right his Velocitta demons from last year. It was a miserable pair of weekends, and it just shows you that had the car not had three punctures in a row, it would have been a much stronger season for Marcel Müller, the man who just cannot be beaten. Miguel Paludo embraces his championship rival. What a race. So we have our own cool-down room in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil.
Eu tava muito feliz que no safety car a Antonella largou mal. E aí eu fiquei em 2-3. Eu falei, cara, vou ficar de boa, não vou fazer nada.
Eu falei, eu não vou fazer um pneu direito agora aqui na relargada que tá muito quente. Nossa, aí o Marcelo acelerou antes de dar zero, eu fiz a zero de lado.
Pô, Marcelo, você foi cuzão ali. Deu certo. Deu certo. Não, mas o Lucas saiu forte, cara.
More stories between the top five. Antonella Bassani and Alci Feldman-Neto exchange pleasantries. Whilst that looked like it had a lot of adrenaline in it, it didn't look bitter, did it? It didn't look mean. It's just swapping of banter all the way through. This is also where the drivers get to understand why there was a safety car period a couple of times in the race. This was a great battle. Antonella Bassani really put on a great show. Alci Feldman-Neto a little bit aggrieved that his father got taken out of the race there. That almost didn't need translation out of Portuguese, did it? I think we know perfectly well that Alci Feldman-Neto felt really bad for his father there. And we got to see the big accident of Jose Morenito. Every driver in the room felt that one. So, folks, time to go and celebrate. 5 drivers on the podium in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brasil across all 3 classes. So it's going to be a very busy podium ceremony, but a very joyous one. And even though there was flotsam and jetsam behind them, pretty much as expected from the top 5 in each class. Although, of course, we did have 2 leaders disappear in sport and in rookie. Alci Feldman Sr. looking good for the sport category victory before his collision with Marcos Regadas. And then Jose Morenito going into the wall sideways at full speed and then going airborne. He's under investigation for that incident with Silvio Monostoni. Certainly we know who came off worse, but we don't know who instigated the incident. We'll have to find that one out a little while later. But for Marcel Müller, it's a victory he'll be absolutely ecstatic by. This is what should have happened at least twice in 2025. It finally happens a year later. Here are the podium ceremony contenders. P5 for Miguel Paludo from 11th on the grid. He'll be happy. Antonella Bassani, good race from her. 4th position, another podium. And in Carrera Cup 2. Alci Feldman-Neto, 3rd place. He'll be happy with that. 2nd place for Lucas Salas. As good as he gets without being the man in the middle. But that's Marcel Müller, who really is in the form of his life. We always knew that Marcel Müller was a great racing driver and certainly a great exponent of all the speed and brilliance in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. He won the title in 2024. He will feel like he could have won the title in 2025. He certainly won the endurance title. Could he make it a title win in 2026? He's certainly on his way. A very lackadaisical podium ceremony celebration of the champagne for Marcel Müller. He's got bigger fish to fry. He doesn't want to get the race suit wet. He's got another race tomorrow. Good battles all the way. What about the drivers who narrowly missed out on a top 5 finish? Thiago Vivacqua, Matthias Camparato, and Pietro Valentin all had their chances to grab a top 5 finish. You also wonder how Miguel Mariotti would have gone had he not tumbled down to the back of the field. Looks as though we're going to sadly have to miss the sport and rookie podiums because we're getting ourselves right into the mix already for the Sprint Challenge Brazil. They're going to finish their second formation lap, and we're going to talk our way through the grid in full. So it's going to be Enrico Pedrosa who will have pole position for this one. The leading sport driver also becomes the overall pole position sitter, and he will have Daniel Newman alongside him on the front row of the grid. Before we go through the grid in full, just a reminder that the sport victory in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil went the way of Israel Salman ahead of Lino Perez, Leonardo Herman, Gustavo Janon and Ryan Mascherello, returning to the podium for the first time in 2026. And then, of course, the rookie podium, Marco Billy taking the win in front of Pippo Massa, Leonardo Sanchez, Bruno Campos and Vanier Pontes. Here is the grid de la gara, the starting lineup. In the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil, it's Enrico Pedrosa alongside Daniel Newman on the front row of the starting grid. Then Will Cesar, great to see him put on a great show alongside Nicolas Garfinkel. Third row of the starting grid sees P5 for Gabriel Goubert and P6 for Cecilia Rebello, hopefully in her own race car. Seventh position on the grid for Gerson Campos, he lines up alongside Neto Hale in the 331. Rounding out the top 10, Sadak Leite. He's got a great chance to work his way forward, starting alongside the sport driver, Marco Masciari. 11th position for Lucas Castellani, the leading rookie driver. He's on the grid alongside Rafael Bernardes, who pushed him all the way. 13th on the starting grid for Claudio Chimiao. He lines up alongside Adriano Valverde, who was threatening to get rookie podium and pole position on his own earlier. 15th on the starting grid for another new face, Gabriel Cestari. Good to see him go wheel to wheel with Charles Grunberg from the 8th row of the grid. Bringing up the rear, we've got Ricardo Gilberman alongside Eldo Umbalino, who definitely had his problems in qualifying earlier. And the last two, Emilio Moreira alongside Dilson Perez Jr. Caio Castro will tie up from the last position of the starting grid after missing qualifying. He actually arrived late to the circuit, would you believe? So Caio Castro goes off P21. Currently out there at the moment, only 21 cars are showing up on the transponders. And of course, Enrico Pedrosa, although it said on the timing screen and on the graphic on the starting grid that he was a challenge driver, he is in fact with a blue number on his car, so that denotes that he is a sport driver. I want to see if Caio Castro is actually there at the back of the field. He is, so Caio Castro will be charging his way through from dead last after missing qualifying. The very talented actor and race driver, unfortunately getting to the circuit late. I wonder if he was at a premiere last night. Even if he wasn't, it's rather embarrassing to not make it to the circuit in time to miss qualifying, so he has to start the race from the back of the grid. So the lights are out on the safety car. That means that this is going to be the last tour around. And so Pedrosa is going to have a lot of pressure on the restart, on the first start, I should say, from Newman, Cesar and Garfinkel. But watch out for Cecilia Rebello as well. She didn't have it all her way in qualifying, largely because she wasn't in her own race car. That was being repaired. But fortunately, Rebello's car does look like it is ready to go racing again. Slight change to the colour scheme for this round of the championship onwards. Slight adaptations from quite a few drivers in the field who are almost treating Velocitta like it is the first round of the championship after the party and fun and games at Interlagos on the first weekend of March. But the field are now being backed up. As the safety car will lead them around, it will then pull off the circuit around the final turn and leave Pedrosa, Newman, Cesar and Garfinkel to battle for the victory in the first Porsche Sprint Challenge race of the weekend here at Velocitta. So now it's up to Enrico Pedrosa and Daniel Newman to set the pace and the tone for this race. Daniel Newman clearly setting his heart on a race victory. We'll see what he can do as they come off the final turn. Clearly everybody is looking forward to an exciting start. The revs rise, the lights go out, and it's racing once again at Velocitta in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil this time. Down to the inside line, and it looks like it could be run right the outside for Daniel Newman, but Pedrosa's going to try and squeeze back to the inside line. Couple of drivers running wide already and onto the grass. But Daniel Newman has made it round the outside, and he leads past Enrico Pedrosa. Will Cesar in third position, and Cecilia Rebello, what a great start from her, up into P4. So already some great starts. And the drivers really taking advantage of the situation of a very tricky first lap. So Newman leads the way here from Pedrosa. And then we've got some more great challenges from the drivers as they get back into the action again as well. But it's certainly been a very tough mission for everybody. Up on the inside, and that's going to be a pirouette. 2 drivers out of the race on the spot, I think. And that was right in the hunt for the top 10. So that's all gone horribly wrong for Gabriel Goubert and Nicolas Garfinkel. The Goubert and Garfinkel collide in the battle over 4th position. That has not gone well at all. And so the beneficiary of all that is obviously going to be Cecilia De Bello, who'd already got past them both. But that cements her position in the top 5. And just in behind her now, well, that looks to me like Neto Hale, possibly even Gerson Campos. I think it is Gerson Campos who's worked his way back into 5th position. There are the 2 cars now stationary. It looks as though they've tried to separate each other, and they've only just become even more locked in. And that's going to be a safety car without any hesitation. There are the safety car boards. So the race is neutralized instantly. Daniel Newman leads it from Pedrosa, Cesar, Rebelo, Campos and Sadek Leite. So with the safety car out on the circuit, oh, would you believe it? They've managed to extricate themselves. Just the way, isn't it? They wait until the safety car's called, and now they can actually get themselves out of harm's way. So that's a frustrating one for the number 10. That is, of course, Nicolas Garfinkel and Gabriel Goubert. We're going to see a replay of the start. Watch Rebello in the pink and white machine. Fabulous start as running round the outside. Couple of drivers drift wide and onto the grass. That's 4 drivers in total actually dropping it and going out wide. And there's quite a lot of positions lost there for several drivers in the field. And now here comes the moment. That's Goubert on Garfinkel. What was Nicolas Garfinkel supposed to do to get out of that? Goubert just being perhaps a little ambitious. And the 2 of them collide. So behind Newman and Pedrosa, we have Cesar, Rebelo, Campos and Sadek Leite. Then Neto Hale from Claudio Chimeao and Gabriel Cestari. Great opportunity for him in the top 10. On board with Pedrosa, let's listen in. Obviously behind the safety cars, so we're not at full chat yet. Behind Gabriel Cestari, we have Lucas Castellani, who was the leading rookie on the starting grid. He's now down to 3rd position behind Chimeao and Cestari. Marco Mascari is in 11th place in front of Dilson Perez Jr. He was dead last, other than Cao Castro on the starting grid, so that shows you what kind of race he's had already. Adriano Valverde in 13th in front of Rafael Bernardes. Cao Castro is up to P15, but though you could argue that's at the expense of Garfinkel and Goubert, so that's only 2 places really made up for Cao Castro. Ricardo Gilberman is 16th in front of Charles Grunberg, Edo Umbelino and Emilio Morera. 21 minutes plus the additional lap still to go in this one. So the drivers know perfectly well just how difficult it's going to get. Certainly the racecraft has been very tricky in Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil traditionally, compared with the Carrera Cup Brazil. A lot less experience at this level. The drivers will take a few more choice gambles, and sadly, they won't always work out. Though still, the drivers rumble on. Behind the safety car, they'll get a chance to go for it once again. The safety car lights are out, I do believe, so we are going to go racing this time. Largely because, of course, the incident was extricated by themselves, rather than needing the intervention of the safety team. The incident is, of course, under investigation between Gabriel Goubert and Nicolas Garfinkel. They are both going to rejoin the race, and they will do so at the back of the train. And it means that we get to go racing. Gerson Campos got the victory in the battle at Interlagos last time out. Of course, Cecilia Rebelo got a Challenge Sport victory under her belt as well a few weeks ago. So it's great to see everybody putting on such a fantastic display. And then, of course, it happened again in the second race for Campos and Rebelo, as Bernardes got the Challenge rookie victory. So is it going to be another great day at the races for Gerson Campos? Doesn't look that way, because Daniel Newman is leading as we go back to green here at Velocitta. Yuma leads the way from Pedrosa, Cesar, Rebelo, and then Gerson Campos. Rebelo having a look over the inside of Will Cesar. Can't make it stick, but don't forget she is currently second in the sport category as side by side. That's going to be Pedrosa trying to defend from Will Cesar. Cesar's going to get up the inside and he takes second position. Good run from Will Cesar. So much more competitive this time than he was at Interlagos. The Cesar up to second place. There's a big battle developing behind Cecilia Rebelo, isn't there? We've got Gerson Campos and Sadek Leite trying to duel away for position. Leite wants to get through on the inside line. Gerson Campos, the man who won both races at Interlagos, desperate to get back past Cecilia Rebelo. But Rebelo has obviously got designs on the race win in the sport category, as well as, of course, trying to get an overall podium. Though plenty going on as Cesar tries to get away from Pedrosa, and there's a drive-through penalty for the number 10. So that is a drive-through penalty then for Nicholas Garfinkel. He is the one who has apparently been blamed for the incident. Oh no, it's not for that. It's for a completely different incident. It's for jumping the start. So there you go, drive-through penalty for jumping the start. And that's a problem for Eldo Umbelino. Eldo Umbelino having a problem. I don't know whether that's a spin or whether that's a mechanical problem. But certainly for Eldo Umbelino, that is game over. So a drive-through for jumping the start, and now also under investigation for an incident with the number 3 of the very talented Gabriel Guper. As now Sadek Leite is going to get his run, wheel to wheel down the straight. And that is the cleanest overtaking move you're going to see from Caio Castro as he makes his move up the inside of Lucas Castellani. So Cecilia Rebelo running in front of the 66 of Sadek Leite. Leite having got through. Campos has already made the move on Cecilia Rebelo. But Rebelo really wants to win the sport class. And so she's got to try and get back ahead and then obviously go and attack Enrico Pedrosa, who leads the class at the moment. Behind Rebelo, we've obviously got some more great talent. Sadek Leite is there battling away with Neto Hale in the orange and black machine. Down to the braking zone for the left, right, left. That he spices up the racing, so that he doesn't necessarily add to anything for the drivers, currently finding it a struggle. But this is a very measured drive again from Cecilia Rebelo, who's trying to leave space whilst also be forceful. That's the thing, you've got to leave a little bit of space if you're going to run wheel to wheel. Otherwise, we're basically at the dodgems at the fair. But otherwise, you've also got to be calculated. Think about the tactics of the situation, and you can't go too far wrong. Cecilia Rebelo, they're running a very smooth race here in P5, but she cannot afford to lose another place if she wants to finish on the overall podium. Certainly looking good for a sport class podium. Big twitch from Rebelo. So can she get back on the throttle in quick enough time for Sadek Leite and his opponent Neto Hale to take a little bit of breathing space from Cecilia Rebelo and have another go? Or is it just intimidate until the mistake comes? Here is the opportunity on the inside line. Clearly feeling that Cecilia Rebelo is going to make a mistake that will be worthy of snatching the place away. But I tell you what, she is one seriously competitive athlete. That's just about the worst thing you could have said, that she's one of the only ladies in the field, Cecilia Rebelo, just her and Antonella Bassani across the 2 categories. But she really is acquitting herself as a pro racing driver in her own right, which is always really exciting to see. Big dive up the inside. That's going to need to be a little bit of a check on the brakes there from Sadek Leite. Cecilia Rebelo not intimidated and not phased by the hard-charging Sadek Leite, who, not for the last time, will use an engine change to battle away for position. That's happened in the past. So what are we going to see from Neto Hale now that he is going to close up on Sadek Leite? Of course, he hasn't had the same discipline, the same school training, because he comes from a completely different part of Brazil. Down the charge. Here comes the bid from Sadek Leite. Cecilia Rebelo's got to defend, but she's going to be smart. Sadek Leite dives through and runs wide on the exit, but he was sensible enough to slow down the field enough that he can hold on to his handbrake and keep that position. Nicely done. Cecilia de Bello is now off the overall podium, but still very much on the sport podium. That looks like it's going to be won by that man up front again, Enrico Pedrosa. But certainly no major catastrophes. There's your leader, Daniel Newman. It was Gerson Campos all the way at the doubleheader at Interlagos at the start of the season. Now, well, he's still here. But of course, he's finding the situation just a tad tricky. We're going to see a replay of Saraglete taking on Cecilia de Bello and getting that late dive. How close was this for a close call? A little bit of movement from Rebello, and that's what caused the accident, which was fortunately avoided. That could have been so close to it. Oh! Got a spinner down to the back of the field. So that's gone horribly wrong, and that could end up being a safety car. It's Moreira. So Moreira having a spin. He was already at the tail end of the field. So that just adds insult to injury for Moreira. But can he get going again? Please, please get going. Is this going to need a safety car intervention, or can he do it? Oh, it looks as though he's done it on his own, unfortunately, Moreira. So he spun the car, and then trying to spin turn the car, he's ended up with the machine parked on the grass verge next to the karting circuit. This is a great duel again. Now that's more like it. Recovery from the 11 of Moreira. Even if you can't get yourself a decent result, safety car does come out. Even if you can't get a decent result, a decent poetic license for the battle. As Enrico Pedrosa running in third place behind Newman and Cesar now gets to find out what life is like chasing the safety car. But it's certainly looking neat and tidy for the man up front. Daniel Newman, he's been building up to this for quite some time now. He was a very solid competitor in X30 as a karting racer, battling away. Daniel Newman leads the way. Cesar, Pedrosa, Campos, Saraglete. That's the top five at the moment. So Cecilia de Bello did lose that top five position for the moment. The fans are enjoying it. There's a real fantastic atmosphere and environment in the Porsche Brazil paddock. Everyone gets to enjoy the racing from every point on the course. And it's wonderful to see just how much enthusiasm there is for this fantastic part of the world. Motorsport in Brazil really is a religion. So still the competitors battle on and scrabble away. Safety car, of course, will back up the pack. But yet again, we have a safety car call. And then immediately the car incident involving that has ended up extricating itself from the scene of the incident. So we end up on the safety car regardless. This is a look back again at the number 10 of Nicholas Garfinkel, following his incident with Gabriel Guppé. And there is Gabriel Guppé trying to recover. Our camera's really picking up some intense battles. Imagine that at full race speed now. Poetry in motion. So Cecilia de Bello starting well, still looking good for second in the category. Only the top five, of course, come through. It's slightly different in the challenge category race because, of course, if you've got 4 or 5 drivers all ready to go, they basically say, right, you lot stand here. Now we'll look over the internet for another great driver. That's how it all gets filtered in. Safety car in this lap. So already the battle is going to be joined. Where's Caio Castro? How far up the order has he moved? He's in 8th place, can you believe? Absolutely amazing. After 2 safety car periods, Caio Castro finds himself from the back of the grid to P8. Don't count him out for the win either. Serious talent is Caio Castro. But it is going to be Daniel Newman who leads them from Enrico Pedrosa, Will Cesar, and then Gerson Campos, Saraglete, Cecilia de Bello, Nato Hale, and Caio Castro rounding out the top 10, Claudio Chimiao and Gabriel Gestari. This restart is all going to come down to when Daniel Newman decides it's time to go fast, which is now. Could be a very good restart, very useful indeed from Daniel Newman. Thinks about the lines very carefully indeed as we come off the final turn and down the straight. We've only got 9 minutes left of green here at Velocitta. So can Daniel Newman continue this pace and pick up the mantle left by Geração Campos in the opening weekend? That's Will Cesar, still struggling to fend off from the man behind him, Geração Campos. I think Enrico Pedrosa's actually got into second place here. That's great work from Enrico Pedrosa. Still they climb up the hill. A very smooth move up the inside of Cecilia De Bello there as well from Sadaclete. So that's another place picked off. Bassani's countrywoman, Cecilia De Bello, finding out about life the hard way here. Very talented racer is Cecilia De Bello. Has taken part in all sorts of different competitions in only the last 3 seasons. But certainly for her and for us, we're very happy that Porsche Brazil is very much her home. But Neto Hale fancies a chance to overtake her regardless. Doesn't matter how loyalty points you've got, it's about how you lick the stamp and send it. So to the braking zone again. Sadaclete going for his own overtakes there as he now tries to close up on the next man in the chain. So as they come through together off the final turn, it's clearly going to be very tight indeed between Sadaclete and Caio Castro. Here comes Castro, trying to go the long way round. That is fraught with a lot of foresight. Still the battle's raged then, as Sadaclete tries to take on the drivers in front whilst also defending from the resurgent Caio Castro. He missed qualifying this morning, didn't make it to the circuit in time, and so had to start this race at least from the very back of the grid. And now that Sadaclete is battling with Caio Castro for P5, I think that'll do quite nicely for Caio Castro. He's certainly come out of this deal better than his opponents. Cecilia De Bello, by the way, down to 7th ahead of Neto Hale. But of course it's also worth pointing out that we haven't quite got all 5 competitive drivers in the fray in one class. Six minutes and 40 still to go here at Velocitta, and Daniel Newman leads the way. Second place for Enrico Pedrosa. Then Will Cesar, the light blue car on the right of your screen. They're trying desperately to shake off the attentions of Geração Campos. Though there is an investigation going on. The restart is being investigated, I can tell you. So the drivers will not have to think about that one for a while, or certainly would be ill-advised. It'll be fascinating to see which of these drivers continues to climb the ladder. You've got to remember that not everybody here is racing because they have ambitions of Le Mans, Indianapolis, Macau, all the rest of them. They're here because they love racing, they love life, and they're embracing it to the fullest. And I'd definitely be in the second brigade of the 2 aforementioned attitudes. Will Cesar's really having to blow his cover here. Keep fighting all the way to the death. And so, picking off cars one by one. That's the way to get things done. So it's still going to be tight all the way between these 2. I think Geração Campos is going to lose patience to Will Cesar before long. 5 minutes to go. And it really is make or break. Newman's pulling clear in the lead, and then Pedrosa. And then we've got this journey for 3rd position. Will Cesari alongside Geração Campos. Try every trick in the book. Campos is not budging. He's sticking to Toby Gale like a ton of red hot bricks. He just absolutely controls the pace. And so down to the first corner, Daniel Newman still going strong with 4.5 minutes left to go. Plus the additional lap on top of that. Will Cesar's really in dire straits. Look at this, Geração Campos is already trying to put him under enough pressure that he'll crack and make a mistake. Down through the drop. Up through the S's, Cesar still holding on to this advantage over Geração Campos. Back up the crest. This is a bit of a climb. It's certainly not as deep as some of the recent battles on screen. 4 minutes left. You do get the feeling that Cecilia de Bello is now in a very defeatist mode. As through goes Neto Hale. Decides to let him go. He was certainly far enough alongside that he could get a little squirt of speed on the loud pedal back again. Maybe that was part of the catalyst. Still they run. And it's all very exciting for Nito Hale to find himself looking potentially on for a top 6 finish. Top 5, of course, warrants the podium, but we all know how good a job young Kai has done here. To hold on, to keep the lead, to stay in the lead, and to not let the house of cards made of dominoes fall in behind you. So still Will Cesar, under pressure from Geração Campos. The rhythm of this race has settled down quite considerably now. Dive at the inside line, that is Bernardes. Bernardes taking the move on the inside line, and that's the rookie victory, don't forget. So Bernardes getting ahead of Lucas Castellani. I love that this championship has got so many races within races. Makes it fabulous. Is going through the pit lane now to serve the drive-through penalty. That is Nicholas Garfinkel. So Nicholas Garfinkel serves the drive-through penalty. Looks like Sadek Leiter's in trouble. He's not come through. So Sadek Leiter, I think, having a penalty to serve as well by the look of things. Could be wrong. He's not a happy bunny, so I can only assume it's the former rather than the latter plan. Daniel Newman, meanwhile, well, he's on a mission to just clean up in this race. 1:31.826, not too slow, not too shabby, but certainly really enjoying life in the lead of this fantastic display out in front. Third place, which Cesari still holds on from Geração Campos. There really isn't much between them now. Down across the line. Newman leads it. Pedrosa second. Cesar, Campos, Castro. And just inside the top 10, we've also got some other drivers pushing to make it all come their way. But it's going to need a big lunge. And to be fair, in Carrera Sport, it makes a lot of sense. Down to the braking zone for the hairpin. So still, the battle rages on for the race leader. Daniel Newman holding the nerve, holding the patience, and just keeping abreast of the situation up front. Second place for Enrico Pedrosa. It looks as though even his world will get to appreciate. Down to the braking zone. Through the S's for what looks like it's going to be the penultimate time, because the drivers have obviously got a busy day tomorrow. They've got to go around the Rotterdam Grand Prix circuit if they want to continue a strong run. This is Pedrosa, we're on board. So Pedrosa taking full advantage of the situation. Leads the race. But it's going to be very tricky convincing everybody of that, particularly the drivers who are here. But there is the 21. He has led since the start. Daniel Newman. A very positive start. And so a little bit more patience is required. We're on the penultimate lap because the time has run down to 0. The clock is no longer reminding everybody that it's time to shut down. It's definitely reminding me. So for Daniel Newman, working his way down the back straight, when he crosses the line this time, he will be able to smell race victory. Geração Campos did the double last time out at Interlagos, and Daniel Newman was off the pace. I don't know what you and the mechanics have done, because that car already has a completely new theme. So as we go on to the final lap this time by, I want you to spare a thought for the man currently running his second place overall, Enrico Pedrosa. That is the name of the chap who used to bring me pre-made rice. I should get it out eventually. So this has all been a challenge, all been a test of each driver to how sorts out the season in a very good way. And so into the last lap goes Daniel Newman after the double-header victory for Geração Campos. Another great result is in the offing, this time for Daniel Newman. Second place for Enrico, it's Newman who leads the way, then it is Enrico Pedrosa. From Geração Campos were Cesar and Caio Castro. Sadly, that's what happens when you win a couple of classes at the same time. And so onto the back stretch comes the rainbow colors, really stands out. And so the final few corners of the lap, Daniel Newman has really made this race such an easy looking victory. I'll bet it was very hard indeed to look after the tires, look after the brakes, stay composed when the safety cars came out. But Daniel Newman deserves this. So near to the top spot. Now in Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil 2026, it is going to be his day, and he absolutely deserves it. So a great run from the land of the buzzer. And there is the checkered flag. It's a cruise mission across the line in the end, as Daniel Newman really soaks up the glory of the moment. Great party has just begun here at the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil and Sprint Challenge Brazil weekend. Time to go celebrate as Daniel Newman enjoys the spoils of war. Excellent racecraft battle from the outset. And so he soaks up the glory of the victory. There are class winners as always. The top 5 drivers in the main category get to be staggered by the groups, but I've been told it doesn't actually have to work out like that. This tends to be, I think, that motorsport ends up giving you a lot more interesting red buttons than black buttons. I can't remember where it was who said that, but it certainly tallies with where we're currently up to. And so Daniel Newman takes the victory overall. The victory in sport is going to go to Enrico Pedrosa, who's still able to put on a great performance. It really is a plethora of who's who in the back there. But a rookie victory also comes the way of Claudio Chimiao. So Claudio Chimiao now works into a race car position. And so the leading cars will once again park up on the start-finish line, and they'll be greeted by the race team. Very flattering and very invited to get such a request to the top table, says Daniel Newman. I'm ready. I don't know about everybody else, but this is who I am. This is who I want to be. So Daniel Newman taking the initiative. It looks to me as though they know exactly what they're planning. And so the celebrations have already begun down on the main straight. A nice way for the Porsche Brazil weekend to wrap up. Daniel Newman takes the win in front of Enrico Pedrosa, Gerson Campos, Caio Castro, and Will Cesar. And I should point out that is the order they're going to go to the podium as well. Even though Enrico Pedrosa is a sport driver, well, in this category, it's to do with the licensing, essentially. So the celebrations have already begun here, but there's still a lot more support. It'll be very tricky indeed to get the most out of the car as we continue on the journey. Overnight, of course, there's a chance for a little bit of redemption. But as it stands at the moment, and I do stress it is stands at the moment, it is unpredictable, it is potentially changeable. My Enrico Guaçu is Enrico Pedrosa from Neto Hale, Cecilia De Bello, who does get a top 5 finish, Marco Moscari and Gabriel Gupa. And then, of course, in the rookie category, it was Claudio Chimiao who put himself into a great position. Then, after that, it is Gabriel Castaval. And so, the great performance of Daniel Newman, shrouded in mystery before stepping up to the challenge category, the premier category of racing. And as you can see in the cool-down room, I think there's going to be a few quiet words, maybe even a tension on mine. We can see, of course, the cool-down room, the drivers understanding and unlocking the secrets of how the race played out.
Etapa passada me tapou também. Aqui é piroca, mano. Aqui é difícil isso. Tem que olhar na reação. Tem que olhar. Os caras abriram, mano. Na reta, os caras abriram de mim. De novo. Muita degradação do carro, né?
The conversations will be very pleasant indeed, I'm sure. A lot of banter to exchange around with each other here on the fantastic circuit at Velocitta.
Mas quem que passou meio desgovernado na largada foi o Sonac? Achei que ia dar strike ali, eu até dei uma segurada.
And so as the drivers get to soak up the spoils of the war they've just been involved in, wonder why on earth those 6 weren't the original ones chosen for the potential rebirth of the big battles up at the sharp end. That's why it's important now to have the monitors so they can see everything that's going on. They see it almost in real time. But certainly, action aplenty from the first of these Sprint Challenge races. There's going to be more tomorrow, of course, because we'll get to have another great race day afternoon. It's going to be the equivalent of 5 major fires going on in your little small bubble, and I can tell you it is not pleasant at all. Sadly, my Portuguese isn't as good as my English, so I'm finding it slightly difficult to find the right words to translate. But certainly, it is the red machine that is working hard to get up the hill.
Gostaram? Cadê vocês aí, ó? Ah, né? Vocês gostam, né? Vocês gostam da bagunça.
Tinha nenhum refrigerante direto aqui.
Tem que arrumar patrocínio aqui, ó. Tem que arrumar patrocínio.
So as the drivers get to trade stories, there are quite a few of them from this weekend already across all of the categories. There is a slight difference in the way that the podium ceremony is conducted in the Sprint Challenge race compared to how it is in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. That's the big difference between those two classes, of course, is to do with sound and museum. Apparently I was told that the various mysteries that the weekend is unlocking I didn't have access to, and neither did he, so I'm not quite sure why it's not worked for him, but it has worked for me. Meanwhile, Daniel Newman has absolutely controlled the pace. It's going to be 5 different drivers on the podium, but as to come back to my original point of elements making sure that things aren't as good as they used to be, I actually really approve of this change, and it's to do with the delays with the front end of the car. We're trying to turn in, but the car won't turn in. We've all been there, we've all done that, but equally even racing drivers have done similar. And it's rather important that you can hold on to it for me the next time I'm there in position. There are the top 5 drivers, and it's overall. Now, to come back to what I was saying again about the Sprint Challenge, there are 3 classes: Challenge, Sport, and Rookie. Challenge and Sport combine to get the overall top 5. So 5th place, Will Cesar, 4th place, Cao Castro, 3rd place, Gerson Campos, 2nd place, Enrico Pedrosa, and the race win going to Daniel Newman. That's a groundbreaking victory for him. So he'll be absolutely euphoric. A great start to the weekend for Daniel Newman, and he becomes the 2nd different race winner in the category after we saw a fantastic wash-dry battle with the elements there. Number 21, Daniel Newman. Fortunately, there's plenty of motorsports now in Asia. You can certainly head back and pick up a decent performance there. 66, Saraklete, one of the many drivers who tried and failed to keep it clean. So we've obviously had the 5 drivers from each class now survive. That is the battle for attention and affection within the industry. But it is fascinating, you say to them in these situations, I'm ready to push the limits of what I can do, and the brakes can do, and the carb, and the engine, and everything. You'll only complain about the things that can't be compared, and can certainly have more problems as they run through. So Saraklete tried his best to work forward. He certainly got as far as a top 5 result until we got to his pit stop 5 laps from home. So the top 5, this is Sport and Rookie combined, because that's how we do it. 5th place for Claudio Chimiao, 4th place for Marco Masciari, 3rd place for Cecilia Rebelo, 2nd position, a good run from Neto Hale, but the victory goes the way, and very deservedly so, I have to say, of Enrico Pedrosa. 2 trophies in almost as many minutes for Enrico Pedrosa, and that will certainly help him as he continues his journey back to Brazil. But of course, before he's allowed to do that, his team will almost certainly be keeping an eye on things, and I have a feeling they are going to have a look around and find out that the battle isn't as good as it used to be. Last year was a pretty chaotic season opener. Last year, the same. In 2026, even though there's not a massive amount of experience, everybody around the motorsport community is plugging in. That's quite an important factor. Very important that we continue to make big strides forward. Having had the victory overall and having had the win in Subro, you're going to get the top 5 that you wanted. Claudio Chimiao will be pole position in front of Gabriel Tadari, and then Lucas Castellani from Dilson Perez Jr. and Adriano Valverde. Tough battles all the way, but now we've got ourselves our rookie podium, and it is very deserving indeed in the category. Adriano Valverde, P5. Great to see him make a little bit of a fight back with the team. Good effort from all of the contenders across the categories, particularly to Dilson Perez Jr., Lucas Castellini, and then Gabriel Cesari. But on the top spot, it's an absolutely overjoyed Claudio Chimiao. He has really been working hard for that victory. You can sense it all week long, and he is overjoyed. So the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil wraps up for race 1 of the weekend. But great news, folks. We get to do it all again. Same time, same place, around 24 hours from now. It's been a very exciting pair of races in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil and Sprint Challenge Brasil. Obviously, all of the results are temporary. They are not official until it has been given official confirmation. So, some great battles and everybody enjoying themselves here at the phenomenal Velocitta circuit. There's more where that came from. And as the boys from Brazil get busy with the fizzy in fantastic fashion, we get to celebrate all of the great achievements as well from the Porsche Carrera Cup battle. We finally get to see the podium ceremony from their race earlier on. Of course, in sport, we already know that it was a top 5 finish for Israel Salmon winning the class, Lino Perez, Leonardo Herman, Gustavo Janon and Ryan Mascherello. And then in rookie, it was Marco Billy from Young Pipi Massa, Leonardo Sanchez, Bruno Campos, and Vanier Pontes. That's day 1, finished and wrapped up here at Velocitta in beautiful Brazil. Saturday is Saturday. Now we're going to go and do the battle again a day from now when it'll be race 2 in both the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brasil on the crazy, fantastic, chaotic, anarchic, absolute thrill fest of a circuit that is Velocitta. From myself, Jake Sanson, and from my producer, Nicholas Otterloo, and everybody here at the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brasil. That was a good day at the races, particularly if your name is either Daniel Newman or Marcel Muller. Tomorrow, it could happen all over again. Tune in and make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a moment of the action. There's more great racing where that came from, and we get to do it all again here at Velocitta for more exciting battles and more frenetic drama. Race wins galore, battles, overtakes, flotsam, jetsam, and motorsport. That's Porsche Brasil. See you tomorrow.